Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and I wanted to bring you my review of the season finale of Skeleton Crew. So, I have religiously watched this as it's been released each week and have thoroughly enjoyed it. I wasn't really sure how they were going to tie it up, and I wasn't 100% sure if this is like a limited series, like if it's just a one season thing. They're going to go for 2 seasons, and after the conclusion, I'm still not 100% sure about that. But what I will say is that it does give us some kind of resolution. It doesn't really leave us hanging that much. But I can tell in the final moments, the showrunners probably also were a little bit uncertain about the show's future. Should they have a little bit more, I don't know, exposition regarding Jude Law's character and all of that kind of stuff. But without getting into spoilers, I will say this was just a ton of fun. I think in my initial sort of thoughts about the first couple of episodes, I called it Goonies in Space. I'm not the only person to give it that label, and that's basically what it ended up being. But it was just a good time. I mean, I feel like we need more of this type of Star Wars, right? Andor is great, for example, right? A great Star Wars series, very serious, very dramatically mature and well developed. But this is more kind of on the kid side, just a fun adventure type of series. And actually, in this final episode, I kept being reminded at times of E.T., right? And a little bit spoilery, I guess, but there is a scene in the show where our young heroes are being chased through a forest on Atten on kind of speeder bike devices. It just reminded me of that scene in E.T. where they're trying to get away from the government officials on the bikes going through the partially constructed neighborhood. Just those same types of vibes. And I think the thing that I most appreciate about not only the finale, but just the show in general, is that it's just so beautifully shot, right? There are several sequences in this finale where the camera is set up in such a way to where certain characters are centered, and there's just sort of a, I don't know, picturesque sort of artistic quality to the way that it all plays out. I think if I do have any kind of criticism of the finale, it kind of circles back to what I mentioned just a moment ago, which is there was a little bit of uncertainty in the final moments about, kind of where this all was headed eventually. So the story does tie itself off. There is sort of an ending that we get here as viewers. But I do think, from an exposition, from a narrative point of view, I would have liked to seen a little bit more about, sort of the fate of, again, Jude Law's character. I think his name is John in the show, something like that. So I think a little bit more with that would have been good. It felt like it, after the sort of main confrontation and the main problem that they're trying to address in the series has been addressed, that it just sort of ends. And I think a little bit more to sort of detail things about what happened to these characters would have been helpful. But still, I really enjoyed this. And they teach you in writing, that once you hit sort of the point of resolution, the climax, you just sort of end it. You don't want to go too much farther beyond that in terms of a storytelling perspective. And I think they definitely took that to heart. But again, part of me can't help but think that they did that because they weren't 100% sure about whether or not a season 2 was going to happen. How much should they sort of leave dangling there? But it ends in such a way that if we never get anything else from Skeleton Crew, it's a good sort of self-contained bit of Star Wars. What I love about it, too, is that there's not a Skywalker in sight, right? I mean, this is just sort of an interesting story in a corner of the galaxy with characters that we end up caring about and we get invested in and we want to see how it plays out. And there's a lot of that kind of, space pirate sort of stuff that we tie back to Han Solo in the original series. It's here, obviously tied to Jude Law's character and some of the sort of extraneous characters in his circle. But I just had a really great time with this. I think one of the central themes has to do with, it's kind of cliche to say, but coming of age, but just sort of getting out into the world and experiencing and learning for yourself and sort of, getting into a little bit of trouble for the sake of your own self-growth. And so I really enjoyed it a lot. If you've seen the finale, let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching.